Mothers are gardeners of God, tending to the hearts of their children. That's a quote by Roy Lesson, and I think it's pretty much my favorite quote. So we're typically talking about children's hearts and our home and things like that, but actually we are going to talk about gardening today. And I'm so excited. My husband is going to help me with this a little bit in the video part, so keep an eye out for him. One summer, our kids charted 275 homegrown tomatoes that we brought into our house, and that did not even include cherry tomatoes. We do love a good homegrown tomato. There's just nothing like it. You can't get anything like it from the stores. My husband, Chris, is, I would call him a master gardener at this point because he's put in 5 gardens, including irrigation systems and everything. His best tip is to put the garden above ground. So Chris is going to be sharing with us a little bit about building a raised bed garden, which just allows you to give really good soil to the top part no matter where you live. I'm standing in our backyard here in Phoenix, Arizona. We've got rocky soil. This is what we do. We have thriving gardens, and I'll be showing you some of those things. You know, there are so many great things about growing your own food at home. You can look and say, what do we eat the most of? And then we know that it really is, it's organic, and the whole family can help with it. And there's just so much satisfaction in seeing that fruit grow. And then you might even want to do something fun like we used to do and chart it and have the kids. There's so many things that you can learn from tending to the garden, watching it grow, and then bringing it in, enjoying the fruits of your labor. Not only does it teach kids responsibility, but you can also save a lot of money in doing this. So I want to go over the worksheet with you now. I hope that you've printed it off or you're looking. Tips for building a raised bed garden. First, build it in a place that has plenty of sunlight. A southern exposure with 6 to 8 hours of direct sun is typically best. Suncalc.net helps you see how the sun falls in your area during the course of a year. Then prepare the area by clearing grass, weeds, rocks, whatever. Use non-pressure treated lumber to avoid chemicals contaminating the soil. Choose lumber that is at least 10 to 12 inches in width so that you will have 10 to 12 inches of soil before the roots hit the ground level. Stores like Home Depot or Lowe's will cut the wood to the lengths that you want. Then design multiple beds in rectangular shapes. For example, you might do 12 feet by 3 feet and space them by 2 feet so that you have room to move in between the beds and reach your plants easily. Screw the lumber together to form a rectangle in the place you want them to be, then brace them. Lay cardboard on the ground before you load the soil, and that will help keep the weeds out. Then build an irrigation system to regulate the water the plants are getting. This can be the most difficult step, but believe me, it will pay off when you do not have to be up there every day watering them. So 2 good soil mixes I also put on this worksheet. One is 1/3 of perlite plus 1/3 of cocoa coir plus 1/3 of compost. The other one is half topsoil plus 1/4 compost plus 1/4 grass clippings, straw, or leaves. If you don't have a yard, no worries. You can apply some of these same concepts using large pots on a balcony, and you can still have the enjoyment of watching the plants grow and yield healthy food for your family. I also wanted to include a few common mistakes to help you avoid garden building pitfalls. So the top 10 mistakes: building your garden in the wrong place. That is a biggie. A southern exposure with 6 to 8 hours of direct sun is typically best. Again, suncalc.net helps you see how the sun falls in your area during the course of the year. Another mistake: building the garden an awkward shape. Ask yourself, will I be able to tend easily to plants in the middle without having to crawl into it? 3, not planning for irrigation. This depends on the amount of rainfall you anticipate getting. Consistently watering with the garden hose works if you have ample rainfall where you live. 4, not investing in good soil. Soil needs to drain well, yet retain water well, and also be full of nutrients for plants to thrive. 5, not mulching. Mulch is an organic covering that protects your soil. It's like a buffer layer that cares for the plants within. Layer the top of soil with 1 to 2 inches of mulch. Number 6, poor planting. Put low growers on the south side and put the things that grow taller on the back side. For example, onions in the front, they stay low. Then peppers, they're medium. And then tomatoes, they're tall, so you can put them on the northern side. Number 7 is not labeling or tracking. Keep track of both the variety and the date that you planted it. You might prefer to use a stick in the soil or a spreadsheet. 8, not knowing what season to plant. Use your zip code to search online for plant hardiness zone maps. You will learn your area's last and first frost dates, and you will want to grow plants in between those dates. That lands in a 6-week period between March or April and September to November for most areas. A tip is you can start seeds indoors 2 weeks before your last frost to get a head start. 9, planting everything at once. Stagger plant to spread out your harvest. Who needs 15 heads of lettuce all in the same week? Do a little planning and math. How long does a certain plant take to mature, and how often do you want it? Planting lettuce in one of 4 quadrants every 2 weeks will allow you to have salad for months. Clip off the mature leaves on the outside of lettuce to allow the plant to continue to yield new produce. This cut and come again method will keep producing for 3 to 5 cuts before the quality of the leaf begins to degrade. Number 10, forgetting to care for the beds in the off season. To help your soil continue to improve, throw mulch or a couple of inches of compost on it to keep it from becoming dry and crusty.
All right, hey, welcome back to the home garden here with Master P. He's growing all the peas in the western valley in the county. Hey, we just enjoy these above ground gardens so much, we decided to build 2 more. I've got water underground to each of them, but this gives me the ability just to add a few more things. And as the fall's coming, I want to have a big fall garden and a huge winter garden with lots of lettuce, kale, and spinach, and all those things. They grow great in Phoenix because the weather here is sunshine 350 days a year. If you live in a place where you can take advantage of the sunshine, man, build an above ground garden and load it up with great soil. I'll go and buy that in bulk, and then begin your planting. Anticipate 60 to 75 days from when you want your fruit. In order to build an above ground garden, you need to choose some lumber, and it all depends on the size you want to work. If you want something really small, something really large. You can see that I've chosen 2x12s, 12 inches this wide, 2 inches this way. It happens to be 12 foot long because I have the ability to get water to them. I like as much turf and dirt. I can buy that in bulk pretty cheaply. I wouldn't go any smaller than a 2x8 probably. That's 8 inches of dirt. If you already have natural ground that is fairly soft, then you only need about 8 inches above the ground. Ours is hard as rock. We live in the desert. So I'm going 12 inches above the ground. I will still till it 2 or 3 inches, hoping to get about 15 total inches of soft soil that I can work with. And then I just put these together, just with screws and typical 90-degree angles. It's not difficult. I'll ultimately have to put some support beams on the edge when we put it in the ground. I'll have to clean out the rocks, but this is the start, first day.
Clearing rock for the gardens.
All right, if you are building an above ground garden and you happen to have a desert like mine, I always remove the rocks. It just gives a little more soil to work with. I think over the years, as the compost and everything settles, it softens that stuff that's below it. It just gives me another 2 to maybe 5 inches of turf to work with underneath the rocks. Sometimes I line it with cardboard. I line it with newspaper. The first year or 2 just keeps the weeds out, and that's a helpful tip as well. Hey, we're welcome back to our garden today. You can see I've got above ground gardens full of great compost and dirt. Today I'm just making sure I've got some underground water so that I can put it on a timer and water my plants. You can see over here my tomatoes and my onions, my peppers are doing great. This is going to be a winter garden full of kale and spinach, lettuce, maybe a few carrots. In the spring it'll turn into beans and other things. Then I'll take them all out. In the summer I'll have lots of okra. So this is dug down. I'm cutting PVC pipe. I'm gluing it together, just making sure I've got risers on there. If I need to extend those later, that's easy to do. So it's a pretty fun project. Hey, it's a joy. All the hard work you put in gets to come out in the form of things you can share with your family, enjoy and share. And there's nothing better for a little lycopene production and some good healthy vitamins than good tomatoes. Wintertime.
So you've been able to make this work here in Phoenix through
Yeah, 'cause we
the
get
winter because it's February 2nd right now. And
in Phoenix, if you can get your plants, cover them a little bit, December, January, there's always 8-10 days it might get close to frost, and I just make sure I get them covered. But then I'm going to have prolific tomatoes through April for these. Then they'll kind of start slowing down just because they've been in the ground so long. I'll take about half of these gardens and replace and put new plants in. Really, I always used to say Super Bowl Sunday, so I'll put some new ones in. I've already started on the north side of my gardens sometime here by February 15th, and those will produce fruit all the way through the end of June.
So there you have it. You're ready to grow your garden. So I have a few questions for you. What are some vegetables and herbs that you often use in your kitchen? Maybe you would like to consider growing some of those at home. What are some easy things to grow at home? Well, tomatoes are fairly easy, and they are so great because there's such a difference between a homegrown tomato and a store-bought tomato. Other easy to grow vegetables we've enjoyed growing are lettuce, kale, onions, peppers. Summer squash is also easy to grow. Basil and cilantro are herbs that we love to grow because we use them a lot. So in your area, what are the best growing times for the plants that you would like to grow? And is there anything that you need to be planting now? Will you plant in pots or in a garden in the ground? And where is the ideal spot for your garden? You want to take some time and figure that out. And when you take some time with all these steps, you are going to find yourself with a thriving garden. You're going to save money. You're going to have organic produce. You and your family can watch things grow. You can give kids the responsibility of helping tend that garden, and you are going to enjoy some great, delicious food on your table. I hope you've enjoyed this. Next time we'll talk about what you can do to help your garden thrive, and that is build a compost pile. I'll see you there.